Be me. 26, with a degree that impresses grant committees and confuses landlords. Live in a small ground-floor unit that tries very hard to be cozy and mostly succeeds when the lights are off. Grew up with the chorus of men saying that danger has a beard and that women should watch, not touch. Father changed a tire like a magician guarding a trick. Uncles clinked bottles and said things about soft hands like it was a family prayer. Filed all of it under reasons to be louder about feminism. Week off from work that pays in compliments and stress. Plan. Sleep. Stretch. Post takes. Heal. Reality. My old hatchback begins screaming like a kettle whenever I press the brake. Sound travels through the neighborhood the way gossip does. Pull into a small shop for a quote. Man behind the counter wears grease like cologne and speaks in ellipses. Says pads and rotors front and back and probably calipers, and definitely my attitude. Bill looks like rent with a uniform on. He says best to leave this to the professionals because stopping the car is not a hobby. That spark in my ribs lights. Not a hobby. A right. Picture a little repair collective with all women. Coveralls with names stitched on. We lift cars and the weight of expectations at the same time. Poster in my head already printed. Go home. Open listing site, like I am hunting for destiny in the jobs section. Find a post. Helper wanted at a brake and tire place, cash daily. Close and reopen the tab twice, so it knows I am serious. Borrow steel toe boots from my neighbor, who does not ask why. Just smirks like a mirror. Roommate raises an eyebrow at the boots and my posture. Tell her I am reclaiming the means of deceleration. She says she will reclaim my medical history if I come back missing a finger. Text the number. A voice that sounds like gravel says, "Come at 7 and do not wear rings." Perfect. Arrive to a yard behind a parts warehouse. Air smells like rubber dust and payday. Stacks of tires taller than the last expectations I let go of. Foreman in a faded cap hands me eye protection and says, "The only rule is to listen." He gestures to a woman in a navy shirt who is already under a car. She slides out, nods, wipes a streak across her cheek like war paint. She says welcome and puts a box of lug nuts in my arms the way some people hand over a baby. I decide to learn fast enough to spite everyone I ever met. First hour. Breaking lugs and breaking pride. Impact gun kicks like a horse that reads minds. Learn that tires are heavier when you pretend they are not. Hands start to shake with a new rhythm that is not fear, but the drumline of humility. The woman shows me how to hang the caliper with a hook so it does not dangle by the hose. I nod like someone who always knew this in a past life. I did not. Midday heat presses on my back like a judgment. Foreman says pace yourself because time is longer than ego. I laugh louder than necessary, the sound of a person trying to carry 3 ideas in one hand. Afternoon, pad swaps, rotor surfaces, caliper slides. I smear grease where grease does not belong and call it learning. The woman taps the place I missed with her knuckle. Says the car does not care about speeches. It only respects surfaces and torque. The words land like advice and sting like truth. The men on the crew do not sneer. They pass water, explain rhythm, speak softly in the language of thread pitch and patience. The kindness messes with the narrative I brought to this parking lot day 2. New shop, harder cars, no shade. I hold a rotor wrong and almost baptize my foot. She catches it, steady as a lighthouse. Says respect the circle. It will respect you back. I ask if the job is always this exhausting. She shrugs and says stopping is a promise you make to everyone around you. Treat it like that. Tattoos peek out from sleeves around me. Stories about long nights and short parts. Nobody says women cannot do this. They just show me how not to break what keeps us breathing, the part where my plan grows legs and walks away from wisdom. Clouds roll in. Boss calls it early. Everyone packs. I bike home on a wobbling moral compass, stare at my own car like it insulted a friend. I can do this, I whisper to the stubborn girl inside me, who claps at doorways instead of knock. Gather a cheap jack, a set of pads from the discount shelf, a rotor that looks suspiciously not round, a bottle of brake fluid that says, "Trust me." Roommate stands in the doorway holding a towel like it is a legal document. Tells me she will not film unless the news needs proof. Raise the car, find the caliper, remove pads that cry rust. Ignore the voice saying, "You did not seat the jack on solid ground." Shove the piston back with a clamp, like I am persuading a deity. Manage to smear grease on the face of the pad, because I enjoy chaos. Bolt the bracket and the caliper. Jam the hose without thinking, and watch a tear of fluid roll down like a warning. Shrug, top the reservoir, because optimism is a fluid too. Slap the wheel on, crank the lugs with the wrist of a poet and the tool of a child. Smile at victory that smells like boiling brakes. Lower the car, climb in, pump the pedal. It sinks like a memory. This is fine if I do not move, I think. So I move. Roll to the end of the driveway and try to stop. Pedal returns with the enthusiasm of a teenager asked to do dishes. Car keeps crawling like it has places to be. Neighbor steps out, already recording with kindness in her eyes and content in her camera. I yank the parking brake. The car stops halfway on the curb like a dog pretending it never wanted the squirrel. A hiss from the front. A slow, awful drip. The smell of wrong spreads. Roommate yells my name like a final exam. There is a small stream of shiny tears running down the inside of the wheel. Brake fluid. A confession. I open the hood, stare at the reservoir like it will apologize. It will not. I press the pedal again to see if it behaves better when watched. It does not. Downstairs, neighbor pops out and asks if I have considered not dying today. I say I am open to it. Call it tow because sometimes independence looks like numbers on a phone. Truck arrives with the same navy shirt from the shop behind the wheel. She hops down, hair damp from the storm we both predicted. Looks at my jack point and the arc of leaking truth. Says so you installed ambition backwards. I mutter about videos and empowerment and the way men explain danger like they own it. She steps close enough for me to see a scar on her thumb. Says empowerment includes not skipping apprenticeship. Also includes not letting someone sell you fear. Then she gets to work. She cracks the bleeder, and I become the assistant I should have been 2 days ago. Hold the bottle. Pump the pedal when told. Stop when told. She finds my pinched hose, points with 2 fingers the way a teacher points at a star, explains path and pressure, and how even justice needs plumbing. Foreman rolls up in a second truck with 2 techs who could be uncles and brothers and strangers. Nobody laughs. They move like music. The car breathes again. Invoice time. Number is a lesson with decimals. Landlord from the next building drifts over, shakes his head like a metronome. Roommate signs something because my hands are still shaking. The woman tears off my copy and tucks it into my palm. Says there is a night class at the community college. I should come if I want the long version. There is a place on the crew someday if I take the long way there. My throat goes tight in a way that is not shame, but space being made for a new story. That night, I find a streak of fluid on the driveway that looks like a map to humility. Mop it with towels that used to be white. Group chat lights up because Neighbor posted a picture of the toe with hearts and concern. Friend writes, you turned your driveway into a laboratory. Another writes, please keep your experiments inside the laws of physics. I put my phone face down and listened to the quiet hope in my chest. Next morning, Father texts a memory about the time he crushed a hand between a jack and a frame and pretended he did not. Says he still hates asking for help and still does it anyway. I breathe slow. Bring out the cheap pads I did not use for the rear and set them on the table like a warning label. Feminism is not pretending a craft is easy, because men are loud about it. Feminism is refusing to be told I cannot enter the room, and then entering, willing to sweep the floor. Later, I ride back to the shop with a box of donuts and my stubbornness. The woman laughs and tells me to lace an apron if I am bringing sugar. I hand her a receipt with a scribble that looks like an apology. She says, call next time before you improvise with pressure. I nod. Repeat it back like a spell. Stopping is a promise. Promises deserve training. Sit on my stoop that evening with sore forearms and a head that feels newly organized. The car waits, silent, as if it forgave me already. I stare at my oil-stained boots and count the cuts I earned for a headline I could not hold. Do I still bristle when a man says, that is not for you? Yes. Do I think braking is simple? It should be simple to learn when someone teaches for real and does not guard the gate. Did the crew treat me badly? No. Did they save me from myself without turning it into a sermon? Yes, with grace and a torque wrench. In the end, I learned that motion loves to continue, and stopping is just an argument. You must win with fractions. My hands remember the vibration of the gun and the weight of a wheel. My tongue remembers the taste of pride swallowed warm. Tomorrow I will tell the story like a joke because it hurts less dressed that way. But right now, I toast the air with cold water and whisper a thank you to every woman in coveralls I have not met yet. See you in class.